All right, in this section, we're going to talk about time tracking. And not even just time tracking, but how we keep track of our projects, and then also how we pass those on to our clients so we can actually get paid for the time that we've put in.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, me. Okay, let's do this. So, first of all, I want to kind of throw a caveat out there and say that not always are projects billed by the hour. A lot of times we bill per project, and it just honestly depends on how big the project is and how comfortable you are with an hourly rate versus a project rate. The benefit to both, and there's cons as well. So hourly, let's say you have a high hourly rate, and that's neither good nor bad, but let's say that you have one. That may be a turnoff to clients, but a client that may be unwilling to pay you $100 an hour to create a business card maybe will be willing to pay you $150 for the project, not knowing or realizing that it only takes an hour and a half of your time to complete that project. So you need to kind of figure this out, what works for you. I know that for us, it was a lot of trial and error in the beginning.
Well, and as you get better, as you get faster, you make less money if you charge per hour.
Charge per
Does
hour.
that mean that your time and your skills are worth less? No, it doesn't. So that's why an estimate for the project typically works out better as you get better.
Right. And so what I did is after we had quite a few projects under our belt that we had done hourly, I did the soul crushing work of going back through, and I analyzed everything that Derek had done and how long it was taking him, and I created a spreadsheet of sorts. And again, this is the boring stuff, but I figured out approximately how long he was spending on certain projects, and I said, okay, if it takes him on average 10 hours to build a website, let's just say, how much is that worth? What does that translate to hourly? And then I could cross-check them against one another to make sure that even if we were throwing a project price out to a client, that it still shook down to an hourly rate that he would be okay with, if that makes sense. And so make sure that when you're thinking of what this looks like for you, consider value that the client is willing to put towards that project. You know, how much do they think it might be worth? How much time you honestly think it will take you to complete it. And then as a safe rule of thumb for us, I always added 15 to 20% onto my estimates just to allow for
I would honestly,
crazy things that happen, because crazy things will happen. They'll ask for an extra revision. It'll take you a little bit longer to complete something because your brain just isn't in it. Whatever it is, give yourself.
I would honestly add 20% to any project. Anything you think. Let's even numbers here. Let's say it was $1,000 project. I would immediately add 20% on top of that from the get-go and hand it to your clients that way. Because then one of two things happens: either it protects you, or at the end of this thing, maybe you really did estimate well, or estimate your project well, and you can pass that savings on to your client. And you look like a hero. So it's really
and we've done that before, where we say, "Hey, great news! Here's your files."
Under budget. And,
under budget. It's only going to be $900 instead, and maybe it took you way less than you thought, but then it's a win for everybody.
Yeah. Versus the alternative, you say, it'll only cost you $1,000, and then you send them an invoice for $1,800, nearly double.
Right.
You're gonna upset some clients and lose people real quick.
Yep. Good.
So.
All right. So within all of this, it raises the question of, okay, well, how do I track my time? How do I figure out what that project is worth? And then how do I prove to my client, this is the time that was spent, this is what was done, and here's how much you owe me? There are so many different ways to do this. There's people that track time on an app on their phone. There's people that do it all in Google Docs. There's people that do Excel, like Derek mentioned earlier, that he used to do when we first started. For the last probably 6-7 years,
at least.
Has it been that long?
At least.
We've used an online app called Harvest, and I don't know about you, but I love it. It makes my job on the back end of our business so easy. I can create reports. I can edit and update invoices as needed. It stores individual project information. If we have a different hourly rate for one project than for another, like maybe we're working for a charity and we've discounted our rate for them, it can take all of that into consideration. It's, what is it now? $12 a month.
Well, so you can start a free account actually, and I think you can track up to, this is going to change, but I think it's up to 3 projects for free. So honestly, for most of you starting out, you won't need to pay anything to get into this. Worst case scenario, once you start having more clients, it's like $12 a month. And at that point, I would say that's
if you have that many projects, it's paying for itself.
It should more than pay for itself,
yeah,
with how quickly you can export and generate reports.
Exactly.
So for me, why I like it, I can come into my laptop and I can log into it on their website and I can start my timer. Right?
And you can do that from any laptop.
From any laptop, from
it's
anywhere.
like the
log
cloud.
in. Right. It is.
Yeah.
It's a software as a service provider. So then on top of that, so let's say I start my project here. Let's say it's a photo shoot. Let's say I'm prepping and I start my clock or whatever, and then grab my camera bag and I'm out the door. Well, when I'm in the field, I have their app as well. So once I'm actually done, I can adjust the time from my phone with the app, and it syncs up between the two. So for me, that alone was a game changer, because I do end up working from all over the place, doing lots of different projects. So to be able to just, pull up my phone and either adjust the time or start the time or stop the time was huge. The other thing too is clients really like to know what they're spending their money on. Some don't. Some will just pay you blindly. But most, especially the smaller clients,
they want a breakdown.
Where every penny is their penny, they want to know exactly what you did. So it's super easy just to say, okay, maybe it's discovery and research, and that's all you're doing. Maybe it's an hour of just discovery and research. You're researching ideas for maybe a logo. And then maybe the next entry is, set up and design I'd call it V1 for version 1 or first comp, right? So comprehensive look.
And
so
these are categories that you can preset. I set all of these up for Derek in there, and he just starts to type it in. It recognizes it, autofills it. It's so
I guess
fast.
what I'm trying to say though is from a client, I don't need to write a paragraph about it. It's just a simple bullet point to show I can see, the client can see, okay, set up a file, research. Yeah, I can see it took them an hour, or maybe it's, designed, 3 web pages or whatever it is. That's all it's just a quick little, almost half sentence. And that's enough to kind of protect you. If they come back and say, well, where did you spend your time? What were you doing? If they want a detailed report, you can make it extremely detailed. If they just need to know a summation of what you spent on the week, I spent 30 hours this week, and that's all I want to know.
And a quick aside about that, Derek often gives way more information in his than is needed. So when I go back through and I pull all of his time and I say create an invoice from this date to this date, or for this project, I can select, do I want line item details? Do I want dates? How much information do I want it to show, depending on that client? Because I know that he doesn't necessarily know what each individual client wants, but I've talked to them and I know. And then it's just very easy for me to select that information. Boom, it's ready, send it. And then they have the option to either send us a check, send us cash, or pay us online with PayPal. Yep.
So on my website, derekmitchell.com/resources, we're going to have basically what we use for this. I'll have a link there for you to check out. Keep in mind, again, there are a lot of ways to track time. Another disclaimer, but this is just what we found that has worked really well for us. And we can actually put our name on it and recommend it. So,
Yeah, good luck.
All right, so in the next section.
Yes, okay. We're going to talk about building your brand and sharing your story. Because at the end of the day, we have found you're not just selling a service. You're selling your story, and you're selling the relationship that your clients will have with you. And it's so important to get it right from the very beginning.
Awesome. I'm excited for this
one.
Yeah,
me too.